Ladies and gentlemen, before you on your screen, you see above this circle a skull and bones, a pictograph of a skull and bones which appears on the nose of a hog-nosed bat. And that hog-nosed bat can be seen by folding the $1 bill one time with one simple crease. And in a few seconds, this video is going to show you how this becomes the entire head of a hog-nosed bat. And then these wings that are outlined in orange expand over the seed pods that are the evil seed of death on the right side and the God pod on the left side. And momentarily you will see that skull and bones with teeth right there before you in your eyes is going to spread its wings over the entire circumference of the two seed pods. Notice how the wings are expanding outward exponentially, the eye of the pyramid, the nuclear detonation over the eagle's head. And as I bring the bill back further and further, it becomes more and more obvious that these are wings of a bat, and this is the skull and bones that you saw previously. Now this is the most detailed depiction of a skull and bones in any public place, ladies and gentlemen, and it's been published on the $1 bill. And you can see it if you stop your videotape, like I'm going to stop this. You can see this picture if you see these alignment marks at the top and align them in the same way. The skull and bones will become apparent on your $1 bill as anyone else's in America or the world. They are all identical. They are so identical, I found it hard to believe that the precision was as identical as it was. Now this is the wings, and it turns out that this bat is 2 5/8 of an inch by 3/4 of an inch high. But here's the interesting part, ladies and gentlemen. When you turn it upside down, that same picture, this bat, what was once the bat, becomes an owl. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. It becomes a perfect characterization of an owl. And you can see that on the screen now as the nose or the snoot of an owl. Here exactly, here precisely are the eyes of the owl. This would be one eye and this would be the other. This would be the mouth and this would be the nostrils. Now it's exactly opposite when you turn the bill upside down. What's once said America, America, is now on the opposing side an owl. Now you can't tell me that that's a mistake, ladies and gentlemen. Some artist put this on the bill for some unknown reason. And it is Michael Fazio who has discovered this and brought this to the world. And I have sent out hundreds of videos and emails to dozens of authors and publishing companies, and no one seems to be interested for some reason. So I'll just keep making videos until I get someone's attention. So, ladies and gentlemen, now I'm going to stop it again, and I'm going to zoom in, because this is important. When the bill is inverted, this part of the bill becomes a satanic-like creature known as Lucifer or Satan, because he's hiding his face behind the shield or the chief of America. He is an Indian because he has a bow, B-O-W, or bow, B-A-U, bow and arrows in his hand, representing a methodology in which to commit war. A bow and arrows. The commander-in-chief is also represented here because the flag or the shield represents the chief of the United States of America. So you have the chief of the United States of America, more specifically these horizontal blue lines on the real flag is the chief hiding behind the shield or protecting itself, hiding its face because no one actually knows who the commander-in-chief is, although we have a puppet in the White House. And then the feathers, the vertical feathers on the headdress, represent a type of headdress that was used 40,000 years ago by the Incans or the Mayan chiefs, not the chiefs of the American Indians. So this actually represents a civilized nation of peoples known as Indians, but not the American Indians, that dates back 40,000 years. And the arrows represent a methodology in which to kill people, and the bow or bow represents the methodology in which to propel those arrows. So what you have is the commander-in-chief, or the god of war, located on the reverse of the $1 bill, that which you can only see when you invert the bill. So at that point, ladies and gentlemen, there are several hundred other pictographs on the $1 bill that I have portrayed in my different videos. But you know, and I know, that this is the most famous of all the videos, known as the Ark of the Covenant. This is the Ark of the Covenant, located on the reverse of the $1 bill. And although it's inverted, I did that to show you the commander-in-chief up close with the bow and arrows in its hand, hiding behind the shield, because Satan has many faces and he never shows his actual face, similar to that of the chief of the United States of America. The powers behind the chief, or commander-in-chief, not end-chief, the commander-in-chief is never actually known who the power is behind the commander-in-chief, because the puppets that we keep in the White House are more for show than anything else. Although he never has to cook a meal, he is not actually in charge of anything. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Now, you know and I know that this is true. However, the year 2012 is coming into well, we're coming into a nexus of a lot of things, folks. And what you really need to understand is that all of the things that have been on the internet, and all of the people that have talked on the internet about the coming events that are going to occur shortly in this time period, in your lifetime, maybe not in my lifetime, because I'm thinking they have I'm thinking they got one with my name on it, but I don't really care. And they know I don't care, so as long as they know I don't care and I don't care, I'm good. So what we need to do here is we need to establish a little rapport that all of these people that are out there talking about conspiracy theories, well, they're all happening now. They're all happening now. I talk to people on the street every day. I asked the fellow that came to fix a computer for me the other day if he knew anything about FEMA camps. He never even heard of the word FEMA camps. He didn't know there were 684 FEMA camps, and when I told him about it, he said no, and he looked it up on the computer and he said, wow. You see, folks, they are dumbing you down from fluoride, from aspartame, drugs, alcohol, television programs, sucking, usurping, just like that movie Batman, where the television usurped the brains of the people. That's what's happening to you with football, baseball, basketball. It's all happening here. It's all planned. Not only is it all planned, but back in 1880, 132 years ago, in 1880, a study was done speaking of the knowledge that in the year 2030 there would be too many people on the planet to sustain life as we know it, give or take 10 or 15 years. And it's happening now, even though they knew in 1880 that the world's population in the year 2010 would be close to 7 billion people. They knew that information in 1880. They didn't figure it out in 1960. They knew it in 1880. They knew that they were going to have to decimate the population, and they even did a study in 1963 called report from Iron Mountain, which is a PDF that I suggest you read, because the PDF and the report from Iron Mountain reads as if it was reading history, not foretelling the future. Because these are the best people in the world. These were the people with the greatest knowledge of dozens of different fields. 15 individual people got together for 3 years and made this study. And they figured the best way to kill people would be poison in the water, in the air, in the environment in general. Radiation was that right at the top of their list, radiation poisoning. However that's accomplished, that was right at the top of the list. And wars and famine would also work really well, but not as good as radiation and poisoning. But first they would have to dumb down the population. And they did all of those things, folks. And this is the end of this dissertation by Michael Fazio, ladies and gentlemen. And I have to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, you people are going to get royally screwed because no one is paying attention. God day to you all.